Hey,
Hi,
Chef,
how are you?
what's going on?
You just get done with work. I just put my daughter to sleep, and now it's dinner time for me. So
Oh, what are you cooking?
nothing. I just got home. You know what I typically do for dinner for my wife is I cook the morning of. So I get up around 5 or 6, and I'll make
Gosh.
dinner at 5 or 6 in the morning. Then all my wife has to do is reheat it for the girls. Only one of our daughters is eating right now,
Yeah,
and that way she constantly has a really cool meal. And so if I'm on the road, or if I'm shooting, or if I'm flying, or if I just get home, like I got home late tonight, they
yeah.
always have a new meal, a fresh meal every day. And it's always
Oh,
like I'm cooking for today for tomorrow. Does that make sense?
it pays to be married to a chef, no
Damn
question.
right. And your lighting, by the way, Liz, hold on, I gotta step up my lighting game because you got that TV light thing going on here,
Oh
and
no,
I'm
I just
like,
have a little ring light thing. I,
oh
I
no,
learned early on how because I'm in this really kind of depressing office, and so I feel like I have to like do something so you can't see the mess that is behind me, but it's part of the deal. It's not a glamorous office as you might think it is.
yeah. I came up to the kitchen because both the girls are asleep downstairs in the house, so you get my backdrop. So
I
there it
gotta see
is.
it. This is what a real chef's kitchen looks like when he's at
Yeah,
home.
it kind of is. This is the area that's hidden. One of my
It's
dogs
so
wants to.
clean.
I'm super OCD. Like I shot over 120 shows here during the pandemic,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I thought it would start to like lighten up a little bit, but we got a call today. I'm shooting Rachel Ray here on Sunday. I'm shooting Today Show on Monday, and then I'm doing my first flight, my first TV flight. Well, no, I flew to LA for Access Hollywood, but my first TV flight is going to do Thanksgiving for Good Morning America. And
Oh,
it's weird. It is weird because I gotta tell you, I'm super used to wearing a hat and a sweater,
yeah. You get to wear your pajamas, especially if it's like a 4 a.m. call time or
right?
something.
Totally,
I
totally.
know it. I know it. I know it's back to reality. So, I asked you when I was asking you to so generously do this with
Of
us,
course.
um, how it's been. And you have this incredible catering business. And I was like,
Hmm.
is it coming back? He's like, oh no, I'm booked through next year.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
totally.
that just is unbelievable. I'm not surprised given your popularity and how fantastic your food is, but how did that sort of happen? Was it a situation where the minute things started picking up, the phone just never stopped ringing?
Here's the thing. I remember when my wife told me in before March, she says, "Hey, this thing's real." This I'm talking pandemic March 2020.
Yeah.
She says, "Hey, it's real. I think your business is going to be really affected." And one thing that I've always done is, and I was taught years ago, and actually Tyler Florence taught me this. He said, "Don't put all your ducks in one row." He's like,
Mhm.
always be open, always have things moving. So between writing cookbooks and shooting television, and then I did radio for 9.5 years with KGO. And between that, it was always a good balance. But I gotta admit to you, catering has always been my strong suit for 14 years. I think catering was that one business that chefs always thought was kind of like, why would you want to do catering? You don't want to have the hustle and bustle of like walking into De La Rosa in the marina at 5:30 at night and you see 100 people outside. That's not really my jam. You know what I like to do is I like to go to U and B's house and cook for friends and family,
Yeah.
and have intimacy when it comes to that, and cook private food. And I've done events. I just did an event for 120. I just booked an event for 300. We just did an event for 75. We have
Oh
one
my
for
gosh.
100 in Fort Bragg on Saturday.
Whoa.
We just booked three more events for the middle of next year. I mean, it's nonstop. But I got to tell you this: when it happened, I remember watching my business bank account, and we hit in 14 years. I was hitting my highest peak of business sales ever. I mean, business sales with food costs at the lowest, labor costs at the lowest, and you have to care about all these things as a business owner. And I flew in from shooting Bar Rescue in Scottsdale, Arizona. The week that the pandemic, I landed on the 17th. I think officially everything closed on the 18th. You're the aficionado when it comes to the dates.
You're around that same time. Yeah, it was a funny period around March that it was like this happened and then this happened and then the schools were closed
Uh
and then
huh.
everything just sort of went silent.
Well, I remember going to the airport on the 18th and flying home, and I sat on the couch, and my wife and I looked at each other. We're like, okay. And I said, I'm not going to wait to see if this is 3 weeks or 3 months or 9 months. I was in San Francisco for 22 years, and we live in Marin County in San Anselmo. And I said, if there's an opportunity for me to finally move my company, I said, I think I'm going to do it. And in the middle of the pandemic, 6 months later, I pulled U-Haul trucks up and everything, and I moved all the business up north. And it wasn't that I didn't want San Francisco to be my home anymore, because it still is my home and my heart and my business. But this, being close to work, getting home to the kids, tucking the kids in bed. It's not us when we were 29 in the marina and everybody's like, yay, let's go party. No, we're like, hey, it's 7:50 and I got to go to bed. And that was my priority was, can I take my daughter to school in the morning? Can I have a successful business model? And the good thing was I never gave up on my brand. And Elizabeth, I hurt like everybody else. I mean, I lost my company. I had 7 employees. After 7 months, I couldn't fund it anymore. There was no more business. I couldn't sell food. I couldn't give food away. You couldn't give boxes away because everybody was doing what I did for 14 years. Everybody was pre-packaging and catering. And I was the only guy for 14 years that was catering besides a couple other companies. So I had to hang it up and came up here, and I luckily found a kitchen and built it out. And I bought a food trailer. I said I always wanted one because my brother's a fireman. And I find it really crucial that he always says, he's like, man, when we're up in Guerneville, we're up north, he's like, the state of California has funding, but nobody can get up here, right? Nobody can feed us. We can't get food. And I said, I'm going to build a vessel to where fire season of 2000, I hate to say this because we know this now, it's year round, sadly, in the state of California. I said, by 2023, I'm going to be able to feed anybody anywhere in the state and pull my truck and my food trailer and feed firemen and firewomen anytime, any place. And it's done, and it's permitted, and it's legal, and it's ready to go. And I built that because it was time to do something for yourself, you know?
That's wonderful. I mean, it's amazing what you've done in your career. And for folks that are just joining us, you know, Ryan, or Chef, I'm going to call him Chef.
Call me
Chef
Ryan. Jeez, we are friends. We are friends. Tell your husband hi. He just joined, by the way.
He loves your food. And we've been friends for a long time, but you kind of have all the jobs. You're a TV personality, you're an author, a cookbook author, catering company, you were an amazing restaurateur. That's right, you got the other one. You know, it's pretty remarkable what you've done with your career and sort of continue to reinvent yourself. Can you bring us back to when you're a little kid and you're deciding what you want to do, what are your passions, and how did you kind of fall into cooking?
I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean, cooking, I was one of those odd ducks. I was that kid in 5th and 6th grade that I would run home, and in the late 80s, early 90s, I'm 42 next month. So yeah, I was rushing home to watch something called Great Chefs of America. And it was a phenomenal show that was, way before the Food Network in 1995 and 96. And I got to tell you, Elizabeth, there was something about food as a young kid that I truly found that I love to watch people make souffles. I love to watch Jacques Pepin. I love to watch this guy named Martin Yan, by the way, Bay Area. And to call him a friend today is kind of like a big pinch me moment. It's just one of those things. And at 8 or 9, I think it was 9, I asked for a walk. And I asked for a food dehydrator because I was watching infomercials at nighttime, and there used to be a guy named Ron Popeil. Do you remember him? He's the guy that had the spray where you can cover the bald spot. Well, before he came up with the money for the spray, he invented a food dehydrator. And this is way before everybody had air fryers and everything. Yeah. And I ordered that for my 9th birthday, and my parents said, something's up with him. And so my parents let me experiment. And my dad, when I was 13, drove me all the way to San Francisco on Polk and Turk Street. And I tried to apply for culinary school when I was 12. And I was such a big kid. They're like, yeah, he's a teenager in high school. No big deal. You will take him. And I just always knew it was my love. I just always loved it. So I moved here when I was 18 years old. And I got my degree, an associate arts degree in pastries in 1999. And I moved to Reno, Nevada, and I got a great job with the Ferrari Carano Winery, which they have the El Dorado, they have Circus up in Reno, Nevada. And it was a great stepping stone for me. And my boss there, after a year and a half, said, you should move to Hawaii. I know somebody. And the thing about the culinary world before the internet and before emails was it's all about, kind of probably like the news world in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. Well, I have a friend in San Francisco. Let me reach out to them real quick. Let me call them. It's about connections, because I always believe that, integrity is the only thing you're going to leave at the end of the day. It's not your bank account. It's nothing else. It's what we leave our kids. Our integrity is what we leave our kids, is what's going to carry on. And I believe that that's what helped me move through my culinary world. And ready for this? 2001, September 2nd, I moved to Hawaii.
Wow.
I started working for a guy named Peter Merriman in Ma'alaya, on the way in between Kihei and on the way to Lahaina. Yes, Merriman's. So I was working for Peter, and on September 11th at 4:20 in the morning, I got a telephone call, my roommate and I. By the way, I was renting her couch, and she didn't tell me that she didn't pay rent. And then I lost the couch after a month, by the way, which is just kind of weird stuff.
Yeah.
And we got a telephone call, and I woke up like everybody else that morning and watched Katie Couric and Matt Lauer, and the whole Hawaiian island shut down. And here I am, 21, living in Hawaii, living on a couch. I had $800 to my name, and I flew out there on a dream. I took my cookbooks and a couple pairs of pants and my chef knives. And long story short, we had to shut the restaurant down. Was it October 30th or whatever? The girl told me that, she's like, by the way, I haven't been paying rent. Thank you for all your money. Let me sleep on the couch. We're evicted tomorrow. So I was homeless for a couple months. I lived in my car on the beach. And here's a trick, Hawaiian fans out there. If you put your fishing pole and a tent on the beach in Hawaii, it's legal to sleep there at nighttime. So I slept on it in a tent. And because when I lived in San Francisco and went to school, 24-hour fitness membership carried over there. So I would shower, 24-hour fitness. I was homeless. And I cooked and I cooked, and I got a roofing job. I was a big boy, and this guy gave me some money. He said, here, rip off some roofs. And I remember standing on the roof, and I said, I don't want to give up on my career. I want to be the best. I want to know all facets. And that day I called the culinary school back, and I said, can I get my degree in baking and pastry? They said, courses start in 2 months. And I took the last $800 I had, and I moved back to San Francisco. I knocked on this door of a gentleman named Gary Danko when I landed. And I said, I want to work for you. And he's like, I don't have any openings. Don't have any openings. And for 7.5 months, I worked every single weekend for free at Gary Danko. And I knocked on their door, and I annoyed them like an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend. We're like, fine, okay, I'll go on a date with you. It's fine. And I stayed at Gary Danko for 5 years. Yeah.
Wow. I just got chills. That is incredible.
Yeah.
And then you wind up on Top Chef when it's the hot, that there had never been a show like that before, become this big star. Do you feel like that really helped take your career to the next level, or what did you get out of that?
I remember when we were cooking at Gary Danko, and like Anthony Bourdain would come in, or Eric Ripert would come in. I remember Bipa Cacciano would come in, all these chefs, and we'd want to meet them. And I remember this show, Top Chef. You're talking season 1, season 2, season 3. I was on season 4. And I remember everybody looked down on it. I'm like, oh, you don't want to be a TV chef. And it wasn't until I started reading a couple books the other day, and I was going through one of my mentors that was at Gary Danko passed away. And we're having a remembrance for him next month. And I read some notes that he put in a book for me. I read some notes that Gary wrote for me. And then my boss, Daniel Blue in New York. And both Gary and Danielle said, we know there's a brighter future beyond food for you. Both of them before TV. And It was kind of a moment the other day in my office. And I guess, Elizabeth, I don't know if food was just the catalyst in the beginning for me to stand out. Would I ever think I'd have a radio show for 9 years? No way. I would have never thought that. But Top Chef came and knocking, and they came knocking before they used to have casting agents. So casting agents are people, they would look for people and prong for people. And you know how they found people? They used to write Table Hopper and Michael Bauer at the Chronicle, and they would say, who's the hot chef, hot in any context that they wanted to say. I was good looking back when I was 27. So,
hush.
And so I got telephone calls, and the longest story ever, you have to have a physical. You have to have all this stuff done. And I was a little chef at a restaurant called Myth Cafe that was where Katonia and Quince is at now by your office, where you guys are at. And they called me and said, if you have a physical by tomorrow, you're on season 4. I'm cooking on a line. I'm making $31,000 a year. I'm like, I can't get a physical. I call my doctor from my hometown. He says, come to Merced tonight. Merced from San Francisco. Come to Merced tonight. I will give you a physical and I'll sign off on the paperwork. There wasn't one car to rent. Check this out. I rented a 18-foot U-Haul, drove all the way to Merced, got to his door. Ready for this? Got to his door. He said, drop your pants. I dropped my pants. He says,
What have you want?
he's like, you look great. Sign the paper. He's like, get back in the car and go. And I drove. That was my physical. And I drove all the way home in my U-Haul, and I got a call the next day, and I was on season 4.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. It was meant to be.
And the physical too. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you got physical to go along with it.
Yeah,
So
it
what was
great.
it like? I mean, it looks like it's an absolute blast to be on that show. Is it fun? Is it stressful?
I mean, I got to say, emotional maturity is the key to success. I mean, do you do TV the same way you did TV 5 years ago?
No.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody does. I mean, you know, when I did my show Food Rush, I was 28, 27, 28, and still to this day, I can't believe I won Emmys. And I won 2 Emmys for that show. Mm-hmm. And I remember one thing that Kathy Lee Gifford told me, and this is the first time I was on the first season. Let me show you this. This is how old it goes back. I still have this mug. This is the first mug from the first season of Hoda and Kathy Lee. And it broke, so I put my daughter's straws in it. That way she can have her smoothies. And Kat told me this, and I remember this. She walked me aside on the first episode, and she says, kid, you've got something. Can I tell you something? They can Google the recipe, but your personality is why they're watching. And I remembered that. And if I would have known that with Top Chef, the problem with Top Chef is I went in with too much in my head. I was reciting a script that maybe the script would change that night, and I wasn't ready for the change. So I was dumbfounded. I mean, I made it 6 episodes, and it was a great 6 episodes. And those 6 episodes turned into making my career. It turned into me getting money to do appearances and cookbooks. It turned into me having 5 restaurants in the Bay Area. All are gone now, and that's just kind of the turbulation of where the food industry is. But I tell people to do it. The problem is, you know, it's not like The Bachelor. You know, you're going on to date somebody. When you go on to the food, you know, food TV, it's true talent. And one thing it did teach me was, I know what I know, I love what I know, and I don't think I want to work for anybody else anymore. And the next day when I came back on the show, I launched Ryan Scott To Go, my catering company.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And did you find that people sought you out after that show, that they wanted everybody because I remember we went to the one restaurant that you had in the Castro.
Fintown. I remember you guys were there.
People were going because they wanted to see Chef Ryan Scott from Top Chef. They wanted to taste your food. Do you feel like that it kind of, does that still stay with you? People ask about it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's 2 clauses in my contract. Do you want Ryan Scott to be actually cooking at your house for Ryan Scott To Go? Or would you just like his food? You know, I do Father's Day and Thanksgiving boxes, and you came by and picked it up for your hubs. And some people are like, will you deliver it? And I was like, well, that's a whole different game. You know, do you want me to cook at home? But, you know, my food is my food, and it has changed. It changed. I would stop twice today on Clement Street. And I'm like, it has been 14 years. Yeah. And please trust me on this one. You know this. Getting recognized is a gift. It's a blessing. And if anybody out there doesn't take the time to talk to people when they stop you, you're in the wrong business. We are so lucky to do what we do. We are so blessed to do what we do, whatever religion, whatever you believe in. And it turned into, you know, a multi-million dollar businesses for me. And I remember Gary Danko telling me, he's like, if you ever own something, a true chef, somebody that truly believes what they do, you'll put your name on it. He's like, because you can't run from your name. You can only stand by your name. And so that's why I put Ryan Scott To Go on it, because it's multifaceted. I mean, I fly to Colorado. I'll cook in Florida for clients. I mean, we pack up, I take people constantly with me, and, you know, we just make it happen.
Yeah, Brandon's saying your food rocks, Ryan. We're big fans. I want to talk to you a little bit about the food scene in San Francisco. You know, it's been through such a horrendous ordeal this past almost 2 years with closing up, coming back. So many restaurants have gone out of business. Where do you kind of see the food scene now in the city? Do you feel like it's coming back? You
know, I got to be honest with you. And if anybody that invests out there and does stocks and bonds and, you know, does retirement, we were looking for a downturn in the market. We were looking, you know, we were hitting 9.5 years since 2008. Mm-hmm. What everybody was paying attention to was the market crash. We weren't paying attention to a world crash, and we weren't ready for this. Yeah. I mean, nobody was ready for this. The people that were signing leases the week before March 18th didn't know this. I mean, I was shooting in Scottsdale, Arizona. I didn't know. I remember John Taffer was hugging me one morning, and the next day he's like, "Right, get back." I'm like, I've been with you all day. We had dinner
Yeah.
last night and had steak and drinks. It's not like, come on, dude. But I mean, everybody's momentum changed. I've seen San Francisco through 1999. I saw when Stars was there. I remember when Tracy Desjardins opened Jardiniere. I remember Gary Danko opened the same year. You got to remember Fairlawn opened at that same time in 99. Fairlawn just closed last year. Jardiniere just sold. Gary Danko just signed another 5 years or 10 years. He's going to reopen again. But you're talking specialty food. You're talking a reason, season, or a lifetime. You know, those are things that you go to anniversaries for and holidays for. And sometimes it's just, some people, it's an any day ending with Y. What I'm worried about is, first of all, blessings to everybody for the PPP, blessings to everybody for the SBA loans. At the same time, now we're hitting a wall with the vaccination cards and 15% drop in restaurants in the Bay Area just today, because there's a retaliation with some people with that. And restaurants have to pay water, garbage, electricity, payroll taxes, you know, sales tax, all these stuff constantly. And the landlords, I think, with the rent that have, you know, forgiving rent for so long, and now they're tacking it on the back end. And let's say people took that SBA, let's say an average SBA was $150,000. If you're looking at $10,000 in operating cost a month without labor costs with the PPP, you're toast in a year. And then you took this money, you lose your lease, you're fighting with a lawyer in a battle in a restaurant, and then you still owe coming up on a $150,000 loan on the SBA if it's forgiven. There was a beautiful grant that Biden passed. It was a great grant, but they ran into how many billions of dollars in the first round.
Yeah.
I believe that San Francisco is the hub of food. And if you read a lot of Bourdain's comments when he came here, there's nothing like a hug of what the city of San Francisco does to you with the food, because we're so multicultural. We're so everything. And I believe that people come here for food and then San Francisco. Yeah. And we are a destination. And we have a rough road. I do see a lot of people that are reinvesting. I'm an investor in restaurants. Weird to think that. I don't cook in it. I'm an investor. I invest in a project up north here in Marin. It's doing really well. But there was 10, 11, 12 months where you got the email as an investor and they're like, there's no dividends coming out. We're not paying anybody. So it's going to be a rough road. I hope landlords understand that, you know, every single new building has to be a commercial space in the bottom. That's the way San Francisco mandate is built. It either has to be a store, a commercial space, which is a restaurant. So any new buildings that we see up, that's vacancies or people that need to rent it. We can only have so many CVSs. We can have only so many of these. And I'm excited to see the city bounce back. It's going to take some time, because what happened, just like everybody else, there is a huge mass exodus in San Francisco. Everybody left. You just can't afford it. And if we are going to have a problem, Elizabeth, with paying $58 for a steak on a menu, you have to understand that that $58 is going to what? That is the labor on the average of $18 to $22 an hour, the cook in the back, the linen, the dishes, the produce, the boxes, the breakdown, the cleaning, the small. It's unheard of. An average restaurant, if they take home 8% a year, that is on the high end, 8% of a dollar. So every dollar I'm taking 8 cents home, we do this because we love this.
Yeah. And it's been such a struggle to find people to come back to work also. So many of these restaurants saying help wanted, we need people. And you feel for them, because you know that the people that are there are just working as hard as they possibly can. And it's just hard because people want to eat, but there's only so many people that want to come back to work right now.
All 7 of my staff in Marin all have 3 jobs. Oof. Everybody has 3 jobs, and I pay unbelievably well. But there's a catch-up moment right now. You have to understand that some people went without a paycheck and just getting a stipend for whatever, $1,500 to get by for whatever that took forever to get. People are trying to catch up. And now we're dealing with, you know, the resurgence of Delta and everything else. And I was getting asked all these questions this morning about what's your protocol about sickness and all that. Can you imagine being a restaurateur, somebody that's in the Castro that's been there 30 years, and one of your core people says, hey, I don't feel well. Well, the law is you should also say, stay home, feel well. This person, they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to tell you they're sick. And then what are we doing? Right. It's a trickle effect. It's a little scary. I do believe, and I've seen this two times in 1999 and 2008. San Francisco has the toughest backbone, and we will come back, and we will come back. But if you have $1 to spend, try that new restaurant, try that place you've always thought of. And if you have an extra 20 in your pocket, tip it, because those servers and those cocktail servers and those bartenders deserve that, because they're putting their life on the line for us to have food and drinks. Think about that.
Yeah, no question. All right, I want to switch gears and talk about something real fun before I let you go. I know you're exhausted. Got a couple questions from some of your big fans. They want to know, okay, what are you eating right now? What are you drinking right now? Do you have something that is your go-to meal, your go-to, whether it's a bottle of wine, cocktail? What are you craving now?
All right. By the way, somebody asked when I'm on Rachel Ray next.
Oh.
I'm shooting on Monday. It usually airs 2 weeks out. It's funny that you say this. They asked that question because it's, what was my first dish that I cooked on TV? And it was gnocchi on Top Chef, and it didn't go over well. So you guys watch Rachel Ray. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, you're going to redeem yourself? Is that what you're saying?
I have to. I mean, what do I do now? All I do is just laugh. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if it doesn't get done, say a dad joke. I mean, that's my mantra. Just say a stupid dad joke. I literally have dad jokes plastered all along my wall in here for every interview I did, and it's totally what it is. Answer to your question, please don't knock it, guys. And maybe B understands this, and the hubbies out there and the wives that like to come home and have a singular beer. I put myself to one singular beer, but it's a really tall 28-ounce singular beer.
Classic.
I'm from a town called Los Banos. Do you expect anything else from me? It's like people are like, oh, what kind of API, what do you like with beers? What kind of Pilsner do you like? I'm like, a Pilsner? Yeah, I'll take a Trumer from Berkeley. Otherwise, I'm just not fancy. I mean, my pantry's fancy. My garnishes those are cute and fancy, but I don't eat a meal during the day ever. Yeah. I have this little guy just like everybody else has. So I have a vegan smoothie in the morning because I'm getting older. So I have a vegan smoothie, and then I snack all day because I'm in the kitchen. I've been in the kitchen since 7:30 this morning. Oh. And I just try things all day because we have lots of events this weekend. Yeah. But my wife says it. I don't have dinner with them. I sit down with them. My father-in-law and mother-in-law always say, would you please eat dinner with us one day? I said, I will. I'm sitting down. It's just, I appreciate it because, when you come home from work, sometimes you're hungry or not, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're around food all the time. I can imagine sometimes you're just kind of like, I just need to take a break for a second.
My clothes smell like it. My hair smells like it. My trucks smell like it. It's like and by the way, tonight for you, I'm having wine and beer. So it's an occasion, my friend.
Well, there you go. Very classy. All right. Last question for all the moms out there. What do you make for your kids? You have a special snack? I mean, I'm thinking, okay, what do I grab for Bo and Jack? Okay, we have Pirate's Booty. We have string cheese. But I'm guessing you probably have something a little bit more refined.
Do you make lunches for Jack and Bo? Which ones go to school? Both go to school? No, only Jack goes to school, right?
Bo's at school, and they have lunch at the school. But both of them, they eat a total of maybe 20 different things, and we sort of combine usually some kind of pasta or starch, and then a protein, and then a little veg, and the vegetables usually broccoli or maybe some carrots. It's pretty simple, but I have a feeling your little girls are much more refined.
Yeah, well, first of all, my second girl, Poppy, is only 4 months old, so she's all about the breast milk right now, and my wife is the most. I just want to say this real quick to everybody out there, you moms, and Elizabeth, I'm going to tell you, just kudos. If the human population was based off of what men could do, there'd be no population. You women are just amazing, and I just see such strength in a mother, and it's just. I've grown as a human, I've grown so much just watching my wife become a mother. And, you fall in love with somebody before kids or maybe after kids, or you move into a new family, but sharing that experience with somebody, I know you and B the same way, we can only do so much. And so when a child cries at nighttime, hey, daddies, get your butt out of bed and just stand there and at least stand up and show that you're doing something. I don't care. My wife always says, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I look like
I'm awake.
Player. I'm like, I just want to let you know that I'm here for you. And it's kind of weird, but I will go against B and any dad out there. I'm the best diaper changer in the whole world. Hands down. I'm so good. Yeah. All right, snacks. Let me show you. All right. I'm going to show you. All right. So I'm a big Mason jar fan. I'm a big Trader Joe's fan. So candy nuts. Yes. These, you like Pirate's Booty, but these little Asian crackers that Trader Joe's is carrying right now that look like little hockey pucks are
Oh
like this.
yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, poof.
Addicted. Okay.
Cashews, apricots, adult spice cashews. These are soy gluten-free crackers. Here
Okay.
is cheese crackers because we know that kids can't have any nut product in their school these days.
Right.
Ugh. Every single fruit in the whole world. As you know, you have my latest book. I'm a huge baker, so my daughter and I bake constantly, like once
I
a
love
week.
it.
I freeze it all. Here's the truth. Look at this thing.
Oh wow. Very
Yes.
organized. But
It
packed with
is
skills.
every single snack, and I also have my TV production studio in the kitchen downstairs that has backup food. Um, Backup all day. I do keep all the fresh vegetables. Like my daughter loves hummus packets. I will say this: Clover just came out with these, and they are made and sweetened with butternut squash, carrots, and beets. My daughter is
Try this.
It's called Sonoma Clover. It is
Okay.
bomb.com. All the yogurt that we have in the house, I make sure it's non-fat. Cottage cheese is non-fat, and organic milk. And my daughter, I'm really proud to say this, has never had a soda in her whole life.
That's
Not one.
amazing.
Yeah, and she gets juice only at the farmer's market. I know that sounds bougie, but I got to tell you guys, that guy that's out there that's squeezing the juice, he deserves my $5 because he's picking it from somewhere. And I just separate it, Elizabeth. I separate everything, so I use these guys. So in her lunch, I'll post one for you tomorrow.
Okay.
These flexi cupcake molds.
Oh yeah.
So she doesn't have bread all the time. I give her a deconstructed turkey sandwich, pickles, cheese, and turkey, all in 3 of these on one side.
Oh,
And that way she's not having bread at lunch. That way the mayonnaise doesn't get soggy and she doesn't have mayonnaise at lunch on her sandwich. And then when she comes home, she can have like an extra cooler, nicer treat. But I separate everything because these cool lunch boxes these days stay really cool and insulated. And those little flexi molds keep it good.
Oh, genius. We covered everything.
Girl, we could
Thank
talk
you.
forever. You got a lot of people. You got some Fanny fans here. Look at you.
Well, they're all here for you. They were dying to see you because they knew that they would definitely be entertained and you'd make us all hungry. But thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, thank you for being such a huge support for the restaurant industry here in the city and being you and showing us all your good food and keeping us all well fed.
Well, I love you guys. I love you and your family and your hubby. You guys come up to Marin, come on the porch, let me cook for you, hang out, and we'll have lots of wine, and you guys will have to Uber back, but it'll be a lot of fun. And just thank you. And I say this, and I have a lot of friends in the newscast world. Thank you to you guys. You guys had the real life September 11th happen on a daily basis. And you know, we lean on you guys. You guys are our nightcap. You guys are our morning cap. You guys are our breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And our newscasters in the Bay Area, and I traveled the world, bar none, the best. And I just want to thank you for what you guys do, and thank you for being true and representing the Bay Area and just doing it well. And you deserve a show. I'm just going to say it. You need your own show.
If I can come on a show and eat your food, done.
Done. We need to find it. You and I in a cab and an Uber eating San Francisco.
Heaven.
Let's do it.
You won't even have to pay me. Thank you, Ryan. Relax. I go to bed, get some rest. You rock.
All right. I'm going to go have my dinner. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.